Bombadita,
Bombadita, bombadita, bomb.
a
Happy trails
to you
until we meet again.
Happy
Trails.
trails to you. And
I don't know the words that come after that.
Fox. Yeah! We did it.
We did it.
Yeah. So, hey, everyone. Welcome to IoT Coffee Talk. I didn't have to play guitar.
Welcome to the Van Halen channel.
Yeah. The Van Halen playlist.
It does feel that way a lot of times, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah, it does. It does. In fact, I was going to play a Van Halen tune, but, that is a Van Halen tune.
It is a Van Halen tune, and we did it. And it's now we have the Happy Trails episode.
Yes, Happy Trails.
And I'm wearing a new cowboy hat I got in Las Vegas.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
It turns out there's a hat place in the Venetian there in the canal shops.
Oh, there's several. There's one in the Caesar Forum as well. I bought my first Stetson there.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's a reason for that, right? There's a reason for that. Why are you buying a hat?
And by the way, this particular shop is really, not remember the name, but I know where this particular shop is really cool because you can go back with your hat. They will repress it, they will clean it, and also for free.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who would ever known? I thought you just threw hats away after you got dirty. And
yeah. The thing is that the Stetson I wear sometimes, I need to get it adjusted or it's just a little too tight. I can't wear it much longer than 30 minutes before I start getting a headache. And so
getting bigger? Is that
no, I just think I never got the right size.
He's trying to tell us that his brain's getting bigger as LLM goes bigger as well.
Exactly. While everyone else's brains are getting smaller from using AI too much.
Yeah.
You definitely need a digital twin therapist, Rob.
I think I do. I think you're so right.
We all do. We all need that.
I got real problems. Oh man. Yeah.
So hey everyone, welcome to the show. Hope you enjoyed our little intro segment of really horrific karaoke.
Yeah.
That's how we break the ice.
We break the ice with a little Diamond Dave.
Yeah, Diamond Dave.
Happy Trails,
Yeah. And
a great album, Diver Down.
Yes, underrated. All of their albums are underrated.
Diver Down was real. They had a lot of good hits on it,
Yeah.
But you're right. There was some there was one or two albums kind of in there before they had awesome hit, and then I don't know what, Women and Children First, or there was a couple that were didn't have much.
They all had
power
stuff. Yeah, I mean they weren't as mainstream as people would have liked them to be.
Yeah,
but when you think back. What they were playing was much more mature than what actually came out as derivatives of what they were doing, right? Because, I mean, obviously, Eddie Van Halen was tremendously, hey, how's it going, Mark?
Hey, how are you?
You missed out on the worst karaoke just now. It was really, really bad. But
Happy Trails.
It was not the worst I've heard.
Yeah, not the worst. We're pretty bad usually.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
You should do something.
I love one of my favorite parts of a Van Halen song. I don't know why it's stuck in my memory. The song "Unchained."
Yeah.
Come on, Dave, give me a break. Hey, one break coming up.
Yeah. So, hey, before we hit the record button, Dimitri, you're talking about some chat GPT or generative AI genre generator. Is that what you called it?
No, well, it's not genre generator, but Rob was mentioning, building a playlist.
Yeah.
Saying that, if you go with actually probably all of these LLMs, not the ChatGPT, and you say, I would like to do a playlist with, this kind of period, this type of music type or genre, this kind of mood. And by the way, inject something totally awkward in the middle and, change the rhythm. It does a great job. Great job from my experience.
Yeah. I've heard some things that are pretty cool, but as you were explaining that, I realized something. One of the reasons why we love music by artists and it is because we remember them and, particular songs, right? Not just like a mishmash of Gen AI generated spew. I'm talking about music having these imprints in your life. And that's what over time becomes precious to everyone, right? And so my wife always tells me, why do you listen to the same music all the time? It's like, because it means a lot to me. It reminds me of certain points in my life. And this is the problem with generative AI. It completely robs you of any attention and meaning. And so I've seen a lot of these things on YouTube too. And I've listened to a few of them and I always thumbs down them so that they don't get promoted.
But the thing is,
some of it is like really creepy, but yeah, they're cool. They're cool.
Hang on a second, Leonard. Hang on a second. It's always the same thing. It's all about the prompt. If you spend enough time putting what you express in the prompt, you'll be surprised. That was the experience. It's not, I agree with you. The automatic generated one, like you log into whatever, I have Tidal streaming service and you.
Yeah.
Is that the blast?
Press record, man. Press record.
Just had to start things off with that.
What is that?
Oh my God, you guys.
Can I get a Jetson device?
You got the chats.
I have a key.
Yes.
I have a guitar track.
I have a staff that has magic powers.
Oh my God, I know. You're like a friggin' cowboy wizard.
This is the underworlder here, from my submarine warriors. I went years ago, we went to some auction event and it was this, you had to dress up like steampunk,
That's cool.
And somehow this random thing, it's like a cane or something, but with this weirdo on top. And I was like, it makes me think of the underworlder creatures I created in the novel. And so I had to get it. And so as we're packing the house and you're going through and you're discovering things, and this just popped up yesterday. And so say hello.
Hello.
Where are you moving, Rob?
Well, we're moving to Texas.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that a unique piece, Rob, or is it?
I don't know. It seems
it's
unique.
like Mad Max,
It was
actually.
inspired.
I like it. I would love one. So
It's kind of cool looking. It could be Mad Max, but it also looks like it could be a deep sea diver freak.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine what your wife was saying when telling you, or how she reacted when you went, "Hey, that's really cool. I'm going to buy it."
She's just like, right.
Oh my gosh! No,
But it's good. It's good to have your own underworlder, and and as I've shown you before, we've discovered new energy sources deep under the ocean. So there's that, folks.
Oh my God! So you're okay. Going back to Dimitri. So you're saying if you know how to prompt it, which most people are going to be lazy about doing, and a lot of people oftentimes don't know what they want, and what would really trigger something, right? But go ahead. What was your point?
Oh, the point is, if you prompt it right, you can actually express, oh yeah, remind me this period of my life and I like it for this reason, and can you find something like this? And so you'll be surprised because you can interact, obviously, so you can refine the model. So I played an hour and a half with that one night late because I was preparing something for a friend, and I was very, very impressed by it. Because the thing is always the same, because I think what people don't understand, and I'm really actually upset about that, people believe that, with these LLM things, I'm just going to say quick and dirty and it's going to do the job for me. No, don't use it this way. This is where you get stupid things and hallucination. Use it as an assistant that what it can do, and you ask him, do this, okay, and then you add your own ideas and refine this, and so kind of dialogue. I find that using as a dialogue is very effective. I think I told you, Leonard, the way I do writings when I want to do a blog post is I don't ask the LLM to write me a post. I said, hey, I have this idea or this concept, and I spend a lot of time writing a paragraph. And I said, first, give me an outline on how to communicate, and I said to which audience. And once I get this outline, I fill in the outline quickly, and I resubmit, say, hey, here is my blog post, clean it for language or finding consistency. So if you do this interactive work with it, I find it extremely effective.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good use of it, but I'm just always cautious about it feeding my personal graph.
Yeah,
that someone is going to sell to someone else. So I'm
and I agree. There are a few things that
use local, private, and whatever you might consider semi-secure, or I'm very, very measured in what I use these tools for.
Yeah, totally agree. And most of the
serious problem, what people don't realize is these guys are creating a graph, a knowledge graph about you, and they will
talks like that. You sound like some tech bro. The average person watching the show, when they say, yeah, and I love how it feeds my graph and shit like that. You know what? Are you from another planet or something?
Apparently, yeah.
You sound like a tech bro.
I think a lot of average folks watch this show, Rob.
Yeah. Are you one of those crypto bros?
Yeah, crypto bros. No, they've ran away a long time ago. Oh, but it is. Hey, you'll be surprised how many people watch the show. When I was at Semicon West, Sensors Converge, as well as DTW, people lead with, yeah, you play guitar, you hang out with Rob, and or IoT Coffee Talk. It's like weird, and obviously it puts me in an awkward position with them.
No, it's uplifting.
Yeah,
it's uplifting. Yeah. And you know what? We're all about the music here, and so I was sitting there thinking, we were talking about Van Halen before here, and playlists, and then Dimitri's talking about prompts, and I just thought of a new song we could change. Might as well prompt. We just put in the word prompt instead of jump.
Oh, might as well prompt.
Might as well prompt.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. Yeah, we do a.
So yesterday we had actually with some friends a discussion about music and hallucination, and actually popped to my mind. I don't know if you watched this song that it's, I think, George Harrison tribute, where George Harrison's son is playing.
Yeah.
So, and it's Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne, and Steve Winwood.
Yes.
Playing while my guitar gently weeps with Prince. And they were super pissed off with Prince because Prince didn't want to go to any session to practice a song with them.
Yeah.
And they didn't want actually to play with him. But actually, if you watch the song, you see, one part which is perfectly execute, which is what you say, that humans can execute perfectly and machines hallucinate. And then you see Prince completely hallucinating, but providing something that actually you could say that improves actually the perfectly execute, but it's completely hallucinated, right? So what's no? You don't agree?
It's not uncommon for music and hallucinations to happen at the same time. And you can think about your past, maybe different concerts you've been to. It's very possible that hallucinations are happening.
Depends on the pill.
That guy, Jimmy. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, talk about serious hallucinations. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the Grateful Dead when Jerry Garcia was.
I'm not talking to play under tracks, but
here is a new use case for GenAI. We can use GenAI to have hallucination without having to take drugs. It's fantastic.
Could we use GenAI to bring back Jerry Garcia?
Yeah.
And insert him just like how we had holograms of Tupac. I wonder if we could insert Jerry Garcia back into some
sure
newer
that there's models that are replicating playing instruments.
Yeah, they are.
Right. So having guitar riffs that are very Jerry-like.
Well, this is the foundation of deep fakes. So yeah, we can do whatever we want today if you have enough.
Coming to Spotify, it's the Jerry Garcia-like radio.
That's right. That's right.
No license required.
Exactly. Sugar Magnolias are headed your way,
So
oh, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Talking about license, there's been a ruling this last week, I think, in San Francisco about Anthropic and access to
Wow.
books,
I
which
saw that.
we've talked about that on this show, and I was always the one saying that we need to rethink how we think, digital rights and copyrights. But what is interesting in the ruling is that the ruling is that you can actually scan the book, assuming you have actually acquired it with the proper, paying licensing, and you can train your model with it, but you cannot store the data, which I think make real sense. So it's the same thing as attending a lecture from a professor. You learn from his lecture and you go do something with it. So the professor's not going to follow you back 20 years later and say, "Hey, you make 10 billion with it.
Yeah.
The money."
Yeah.
I saw a little blurb about that where the judge said the ruling was less on how much they believe that you should be able to do that and more about how weak the arguments were from the copyright people who they're like, he thought they did a crappy job actually of making their case.
And obviously, it's not
They
like
could have used ChatGPT, maybe lawyers instead of the.
Yeah, that's what they should have brought. ChatGPT lawyers. They should have called Stephanie and she'd hook them up with ChatGPT lawyers. She's got an army of them.
Well, hey, Stephanie, how's it going? Oh my God.
Hi, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
But
have a good. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. It is a thing that when you do have litigation like that, and one of the parties is dependent on knowledge of the technology, if they don't have it, they can shoot themselves in the foot. It is a real thing. This isn't science fiction. And that's why it is important for lawyers to really, and legal teams to really, and regulators to understand the technology. Otherwise, they go the wrong direction. They miss things, and their cases have, their arguments have holes in them, or they're just completely wrong, right? So there is a role for experts that they should be mindful of, but there aren't that many experts out there. That's the problem. There's a lot of
you find good like patent lawyers or other. I've met with work people like at Microsoft or Silicon Valley that are ex-engineers, also have a law degree.
Yeah.
That's a pretty potent combo because if you can really, especially patent lawyers are a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I saw that there's a lawsuit against Microsoft for scanning 200,000 copyrighted works to train maybe their own LM called Megatron or something like that. I might be misspeaking, but I just read about that this morning. And so people are going back and forth on that deal.
Got to be able to untrain and unlearn your models, right?
Isn't that like the bad guy in Transformers?
Megatron.
Yeah. Why don't you name him Optimus Prime or something?
Yeah, they should have gone with Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
I have a good by the way, I have a good use case for
because Microsoft is evil.
LLM. So I'm actually here in Rome for a few days, which is pretty cool. And I've been doing some of these tours. I saw the Colosseum today, and you go on a tour, and there's the person with the flag, and they're
in Italy.
Come on, we need a selfie of you in the tour.
No, I'll send it.
We need that.
But it was funny because I was thinking, like, man, this would be a perfect application for like some AirPods and an app and an AI agent that I could ask questions of as it's explaining things to me on the tour.
And a drone.
Usually, it's like the person's maybe they know the question answer, maybe they don't. But man, that would be. I mean, I certainly somebody's got to be working on this out there in the next few
Absolutely.
years. The museum tour business.
Well, they have those. They have those in the hiking industry or in all the national parks where you can download the apps. Where as you're driving, it tells you every factoid about what you're about to approach. So it's kind of that same concept.
Yeah, no, I've seen those.
We're talking real time.
No, I'm talking like actually talking to it. Like I'm ask it questions.
You know what?
Yeah.
I know what you need to do. I just thought about it. Think about how in the Superman movies, you insert the key there, and Superman all of a sudden can talk to his dad, Jor-El or whatever. Remember? And he would appear. And so in your thing in the Coliseum, like the emperor or somebody will be there and you're having a conversation as he guides you through the Coliseum. Yes, right.
Don't they have like maybe some of you guys have seen them, but don't they have glasses now that you're wearing and you can talk to with the AI?
If you had like the meta glasses, you know,
I
mean, see what you're seeing, and it could do a little, you know, agentic AI thing.
That's a good use case, actually.
That would be good. Yeah, I mean, I actually the tour guide we had today was good. The other ones, like, you know, they can be not so good. So. But I can imagine it's one of those things 5 or 10 years from now, maybe just a few years from now, someone's going to come out with something that's.
And then we make the dystopian version of that, where it really happens like in a horror movie, like you were saying, you know, should we let Pete live in the Coliseum? And he's like,
yeah. Or you can have Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris, you know, have an option for one of those two guys to.
But actually, ChatGPT works really well for dreams. I used it last year, and you took a random piece in a museum and take a picture and say, "What is this?"
Yeah,
and so without any context.
Yeah, so it's all there. It's all there.
Always.
No one's packaged it, and probably the tour companies are not interested in disrupting their own business, but someone's going to come along and just
yeah.
You
know, we were talking about it last week. You know, you don't need ChatGPT to do that. That was already there. That's like visual search. You know, that circle to search function.
And
it has nothing to do with.
But the interaction, though, that's the thing. You got to.
I feel like though the last I guess 18 months, that's probably been the most profound app that I think has been so useful is loading a picture of something where I'm trying to shop or look up information. Like, of course, I use it all the time for shopping. If I see something, I'm like, I'm going to find it cheaper. Send a picture and then it gives me all the places. But I feel like that's been the most useful consumer tool is the picture.
Circle to search. I used it. There was a particular shirt I bought at Johnson Murphy, and it turns out, you know, it was 100% cotton, and I dried it, and so it kind of shrank. And it was like a 2 years old style, but I thought it was the coolest looking shirt ever. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And so I did circle to search on there, and it was showing me people like on eBay and places like that selling it. And so it was kind of cool.
You have to go bid. You have to go bid on that shirt now.
Pretty much.
I mean, Amazon props because they had this function a long time ago, right? Where you
could also barcode
and So
I think people are just now getting used to all of that because when Google added it, they started looking and noticing that icon means what it means now, right? So from a usability perspective, you can go onto any app and see that icon. You actually know what it means.
Yeah. And guess what? It's time to get beta 2 of iPad OS.
Still using an iPad, huh?
Seriously, gonna do the beta? Oh wow!
I did it like the very next day, the developer beta, because I wanted to play with the overlapping windowing and stuff on the iPad.
You're doing it right now.
It's the Longhorn UI. That's right.
Windows 3.11 style or what?
Yeah. I like the overlapping windows. I don't know if I can't say that I totally like the glass look yet.
Aero glass.
Because I think we decided, at the Evil Empire that the glass look wasn't always what we wanted. What we really wanted was Metro.
Metro. I was going to say the subway map look of things.
Yes. Metro was better.
Embracing the flat.
There was my biggest problem with Metro is a lot of wasted real estate. There are so many blank spaces. It was like incredible. No, if you remember, it was, and then you would have to flip through. You would have to flip through so many different screens just to get to the information that you might just get in like 2 screens.
Content over Chrome.
Yeah,
that was one of our things that we live by with Metro.
Content over Chrome. That's right.
Yeah, there was too many apps that were spending all the time putting Chrome and stuff around it.
Yeah,
we were just trying to just say
skeuomorphic.
Everybody's still being skeuomorphic. Yeah, totally.
Remember, like the desktop with actual folders and.
In fact, wasn't that another deal like uniquely or genuinely digital or something like that? How Metro would be? You're right. No more skeuomorphism.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Albert Shelton.
It was definitely that.
Podcast.
I think it might have been there might have been a pretty big chasm to leap from what was sort of mainstream at that time to what you guys were doing at Microsoft with Metro and stuff. Yeah. I mean,
from the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were too advanced for the regular people to understand.
Yeah.
That was the issue.
Yeah. Basically we showed up in a flying saucer and said, here is this new technology from the future. And they just they didn't know what to do with it.
No, that was pretty crazy. I remember the Microsoft stores that were popping up everywhere, and they were featuring the Nokia,
yeah,
the gigantic Nokia phones. They're freaking huge.
Those Microsoft stores, man.
Oof. Painful.
It was painful. It was exciting at first, but it was painful later.
It was exciting on opening day. That was about
yes.
it.
Yeah. For 30 minutes.
I probably said this before, but I'll say it again about the Microsoft stores. After a while, it got so bad that we would play like a gambling game, like an over-under or whatever. When you'd walk by a Microsoft store, will there be more employees or more customers in the Microsoft store?
I've never seen one with more customers, but...
Yeah.
And then sometimes it would be right down from the Apple store, and there's like 10 billion people crammed into the Apple store.
That wasn't that a strategy, a Microsoft retail strategy? It's like we're going to open a store across from every Apple store.
It's the Burger King strategy. Yeah.
It worked for Lowe's being across the street from Home Depot.
Oh yeah.
It did not work for Microsoft.
Yeah. And Amazon tried to do the same thing with their Amazon, whatever the hell they call them. The little stores
on Go.
They're little stores.
Yeah.
The bookstores. The bookstores.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, well, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the curated top 5-star stores they opened where they put all the because they did that and it pissed my wife off to no end because she's just an English major.
Bellevue Square, they had one. Remember?
Yes, and it's just like, oh, that's just really rich of you guys. After you wipe out the entire bookstore industry and put Borders out of business and you got Barnes & Noble on the ropes, and then you decide, hey, we'll have a store too. And we're going to just put the books that got 5 stars in there. And people are like, it's amazing. I love it.
And
that bombed.
Yeah, that bombed.
Yeah, Barnes & Noble's coming back, so there you go.
Is it coming back?
Yeah, they're doing well. They actually showed a lot of new stores, so they had new owners, new stuff.
Every time I go into Barnes & Noble, I notice that it changes inside. Like they rearrange it, and it's kind of like Best Buy, actually. Both of them are doing the similar thing. On a week-by-week basis, they rearrange and change the products mix. What are people interested in buying this week? Well, that's what we are all about this week.
That's predictive. It's predictive and targeted inventory management, right? That's what they're doing. They thought they can use IoT to drive sales and create a viable physical retail node, and it didn't work out. So
my oldest son,
I'm sure they study the habits of folks. You have to wonder if the store is laid out the same time every time. They lose the add-on sales because people go straight to that section, buy what they want, and get out of there. I don't know.
Yeah. My oldest son is so mad that Best Buy used to be the place where you get all your Blu-rays and 4K videos, and now they're not even there anymore.
Yeah,
it was surprised before.
No offense to Best Buy, but I don't know why anyone would actually go to one of those stores at this point. But that's just me.
Yeah, I don't go in.
Ouch.
I mean, just get the stuff offline.
A good friend of mine who's got his own kind of small tech business, he's in Oklahoma. He said, you should actually get a Best Buy credit card thing. And it's like everything they have is 0%, 12 months to pay. He goes, if you buy a lot of computer gear for your business and stuff, he goes, it's actually the best deal in the world is to use Best Buy to do it.
But again, you could do that. You could get a virtual Best Buy credit card, do it all online.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You're right.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Like I think physical retail is really important for obviously there's food, there's clothing, you want to feel the merchandise. I mean, there's lots of good reasons for physical retail, but I think there's just some of these categories that I scratch my head when I think about why they're there.
I mean, I like to avoid places that have a lot of people, so I will always buy online.
I thought you were going to say that's why I go to Best Buy.
No.
I mean, think about where you live. You live in the middle of nowhere, right? How close is?
It's an hour into where all the major retail stores are anyway. So
yeah.
We're just now getting Instacart, where we can get things delivered out this way from big retailers.
Oh, no
and it's it's a small handful of stores that will deliver out this way, but that's kind of a big deal for us out here.
Yeah, that is a big deal because you're way out there for sure. I miss the days I was a big fan of Borders bookstore personally. And do you remember in the 90s and maybe early 2000s, like when the biggest section in the whole bookstore was all computer books, programming books and stuff? And that was the golden age. And then I watched it start getting smaller and smaller, and you go, what's that all about? I read something, I don't know, it was Wall Street Journal, it was a financial deal, and the guy said, if no one's writing books about what you do for a living, then you should change careers. You need to get out of that business. And I was like, whoa. Whoa.
What happened? Did the crypto section get bigger and bigger?
But I totally get it, because I remember I used to make comments years ago where I would judge how much money let's say if you're a computer consultant, contractor, programmer person, how much money per hour you could make based on the density or the quantity of the programming books for your particular programming language or framework or database in Borders and Barnes & Noble. And I could accurately judge what's hot and what's not based on that.
Yeah, but you're forgetting that there's that tiny little thing that start happening at the same time called the internet.
Damn you, internet.
I mean, especially in the field of computing, all the knowledge moved from paper books to online. So it's not representative of the decline of the industry. So that argument doesn't fly.
Does anybody have a memory, if you were hanging out in one of those book sections that Dimitri said didn't fly, of recruiters hanging out in the computer book section at Barnes & Noble and Borders, and they would walk up to you? I had that happen more than once.
Yeah, me too, Rob. Don't get me wrong. All I'm saying is that from the middle of the 90s, late 90s, the knowledge about how to program moved from being in books to being online. And the people went online to learn instead of buying books. That's what happened at that point. And
do you remember the Barnes & Noble in downtown Bellevue that used to be a bowling alley?
Yes.
And recruiters were camped out in the computer book section. Trying to get talent. It was crazy.
But to another anecdote, interesting, Rob, talking about where Recruiter goes. When World of Warcraft was starting to grow as an online game, you had Microsoft recruiters, I think I remember, going there for the league chiefs. Because the
e-gaming stuff.
Yeah, the e-gaming. If you're a leader of a league in an e-gaming, so you have 20 other guys working for you, you have management skills. So they were targeting... No, seriously. They were targeting people who are leaders on e-games to recruit them as managers. That makes sense.
It makes sense to me too. Yeah, I love that.
But
now, what else should have died then if the internet kills everything? Conferences? Like the need to go to a computer conference to learn stuff when everything's already online?
Well, I actually wanted to comment on that with Stephanie, because I believe that what Stephanie was saying is that, and Pete, you buy everything online. There is the kind of the human touch and contact aspect that you're losing. So when I want to buy if I want to buy a new pair of shoes, I buy it online if I know what I want. But when I'm looking for something different, I'm frustrating because those freaking flat pictures or even...
Oh, yeah, totally. I think clothing is one of the last great retail experiences.
And your book and records, DVDs, I loved when you could go and you touch the DVD, you turn it around, you see the cover, you feel it.
Used record store. There's a good used record store.
And maybe Vision Pro would be a use case for that, Leonard, you have one. So, but the kind of...
You gotta smell the card.
The vinyl. Vinyl smell.
Oh,
exactly.
There you go.
Yo.
God knows what I'm talking
Sweet.
about. Is that the
It's huge.
gatefold? Is that the
What's
original?
inside?
The gatefold? Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
Rob is the cowboy wizard. The
He
over.
was young, huh?
He's the dark wizard.
But I was actually
I know it's really simple, but I think this is one of the best album covers ever.
yeah.
There's just something about it, you know?
Yeah.
One of the best albums ever. Never
You're right.
But
the songs on the inside.
One thing that I'm still puzzled that didn't happen, because in the early day of e-commerce, I was thinking that the future model would be, very big showrooms where there's one product of everything, where you can go and touch and look, and then you just take picture of the barcode and you go order online at home. But those things never really materialized.
People like the instant gratification. If you're in retail, the worst thing you can do in retail is you go in and you want to buy something and they're like, "Oh, I don't have it in stock. I have to ship it to you." Then I'm like,
Yeah, but that was when shipping was a week. Now shipping can be overnight the next morning at 4 a.m. So
Everywhere, but
I would be a big consumer of that.
Do you remember as you started to slowly see the decline of our favorite store in the world, Fry's Electronics? And after a while, they had a big sign out in front of all their stores like, "We'll beat internet prices," and stuff like that, And it was this last gasp of retail in the tech space where they're like, "Please, for the love of God," because they knew people loved to go there just to hang out, know?
Yeah, I think Fry's didn't do a very good job, because the place was great for what you could find, but the customer service, the people that were there, that at least my experience in the Bay Area, they sucked.
yeah, but that you have to remember, e-commerce was heavily subsidized in the beginning, and it was basically geared toward, there was the whole internet tax break, right? Sales tax break. That killed everybody, and that was completely unfair. So, this idea that somehow technology in and of itself, or some sort of new modality of some kind of process or what have you, is inherently transformative. Sometimes it gets subsidized to basically scale, and then think about it. Walmart hasn't gone anywhere. Costco hasn't gone anywhere. You go to a Costco, it's still friggin' packed, and they are doing. Amazon didn't kill them,
right?
So these, I remember all the nonsense around e-commerce and how everyone was going bonkers around that a long time ago. And then, Amazon didn't end up becoming the Death Star. Their e-commerce is still a fraction of commerce, and so, yeah, these things have been exaggerated, and then, they don't tend to have the impact that we all think, even though we've been indoctrinated to think that they have, right? You just have to, the malls, they died for a certain reason, but it's not because of e-commerce. If you go over to UTC, man, that place is packed.
Yeah, UTC.
Day. You know me.
Like, everyone who doesn't live in the greater San Diego area has no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, University Town Center. Oh no, just go to any mall in Asia. They're packed.
Yeah,
with people, right? And so e-commerce didn't kill
in the short run and underestimate in the long run.
Yeah.
But I think that
yeah.
I think that e-commerce forced eliminated all the shops that were not the shops that were only bringing the value was to have the product. You have to build something that also great shopping malls which probably still exist. But they used to be, you had to go to this shop because this shop was the only place where you could get that product. The internet killed that for sure. That's right. If you only,
and then COVID also introduced a whole, the curbside thing, and a lot of those retailers kept that, which is where you're still performing an e-commerce transaction, but you may pick up at the store. Or same thing with food and fast food. You just download the app, pre-order, pick up. That's made a lot of things.
Happy trails.
Ciao.
Happy trails.
Ci vediamo.
He didn't get to talk about. He didn't get to talk
but
about.
What we see here in Spain, it's basically big clothing stores becoming like you go there, you try the sizes, and then you order online and you get it the day after at home or in a couple of days, and you can return it for free.
That's cool.
So you cannot buy actually, or there are just few pieces to buy in the shop. So you go there, you test. If you like it, you just can with the phone order it, and the day after you get it, you have it at home. So you miss as well the experience of going with multiple bags, walking around. At least, we don't have that many shopping malls.
That's what I was saying about having kind of showroom or test room.
Showrooms.
Because people are now used to buy online and wait a day or two for delivery. Maybe the model works now because the instant, I want to go to a shop and I want to come back with that pair of shoes, because people are now so used, I order online, it comes in 1 or 2 days. They say, why not go to the shop, try the pair of shoes so I'm sure they fit and I love them, and then wait 1 day or 2 to get them at home. So it's a flip-flop thing happening. So.
And actually, like 15 years ago, I had as well this idea of having like this type of shop where you go, for example, a bookstore where you cannot buy the book, but you are affiliated to Amazon. So if you want to buy that book, you just scan a QR code. It goes to Amazon with your affiliation code on there, and you get a percentage of that sell. And then Amazon
and they get the affiliate money on that.
Exactly.
It's called
I'm not sure. I don't think this is scalable, but
it's called a library. It's called a library, man.
So 15 years ago, like you said, there was a movie. There was a movie that kind of illustrated the ridiculousness of online and having brick and mortar tied into online. If you remember 40-Year-Old Virgin with Steve Carell, what was it? Catherine Keener, his love interest. They all worked in the stereo store with Paul Rudd. Across the street,
it's so funny.
Across the street, she had like her eBay store or whatever, and it had all this stuff in there. And people would walk in and they'd want to buy it. And she's like, "Oh no, I can't sell this to you here. You're gonna have to go online to get it, and then I'll ship it to you." They were just illustrating how silly it was all back then. Oh my gosh.
The other area is like I use a service called Stitch Fix, and because I don't live in the city, I don't shop as much retail wise. I do a lot of online, but what Stitch Fix does is I just got my shipment when I got back from Hawaii, and I get about 5 or 6 pieces, shirts, clothes, shoes, jewelry, whatever. And then and they're random. I have a personal shopper that I went through and kind of put in my sizes and my likes, dislikes.
Shop GPT.
They send me stuff, and I usually at least every time get 1 or 2 items out of that batch. And
cool.
You just pay a flat rate for it, and they shop for me. And things that I probably would never have shopped for, I buy from them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but like Mark, that whole model that you were talking about, where you just have this fitting or whatever showcase store and using sort of a service merchandise model, that's pretty clever, it makes a lot of sense.
Keeps the inventory.
Actually, you can do it as well. You can do a travel store. You can do many things. It's not just for books, right? You can do it for anything right now.
Yeah.
Why is it that we saw the decline of your classic indoor mall, but we saw success with the outdoor malls?
Social.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that if the outdoor malls are kind of outside, open air.
Yeah.
It's global warming.
Okay. There you go. Okay. That's probably it. Yeah. Thanks. That's it. Yeah.
You can design it wrong because they have one outdoor mall in Otay Ranch, and this is near the border, Mexican border in San Diego County, and they designed that thing so horribly.
Leonard, what you mentioned now that it's in the border, I remember getting into China from what's the country? It's not Hong Kong. Between Hong Kong and China, there is
Macau.
Yeah, Macau. So if you want to get into China through Macau, you get into a shopping mall. Then in the middle of the shopping mall, there is a passport check, and then you get into a door, and then you get into a Chinese shopping mall. Like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this country?
Exit the gift shop. Yeah. Like
you appear in the
every
middle, like clothes, music, like what the I just crossed into a country and this is a shopping mall. What?
I love
The
it.
currency changes immediately. No.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like every international airport today. It's like a giant mall walking through the
Oh my God! You want to go to your gate? Here, walk to this gigantic mall.
right.
Get your steps in. It's like
Actually, if you want to have a retail store, there's no better place than airport.
oh yeah, duty free.
Well, not even just the duty free, just the fact that you have captive travelers
Yeah.
in a place. I'm sure it's more expensive to lease as well.
Yeah, and you also have the kind of baggage allowance in the plane. This doesn't really use an incentive to buy stuff, so it has to be small stuff. Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe.
I have this horrible addiction. I'm going to admit to you guys. Johnson Murphy has stores in airports all over the place, and it's like a tractor beam. And I keep buying shirts and stuff there when I see one in the airport. And I admit to the people working there, I go, I just want to say you guys are geniuses. You guys have stores in like so many airports. You're getting me coming and going and flying everywhere.
Yeah. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to the guys at Sensors Converge. I was there. I'm a board member, so there is a bit of a conflict of interest here, in promoting them.
It's okay.
But man, great conference this year. There was a lot of folks, and I was surprised. On day 2, it's usually pretty mellow.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of traffic there. But, Edge AI Foundation was there. So Pete dropped off, and I was hoping that he'd have a chance to talk about the event in Milan. Are you going, Mark? No,
I'm not going.
That's too bad.
Next time.
Oh, by the way, can we congratulate you or no?
Next week, maybe.
Okay.
We'll wait till next week.
Wait.
Oh.
Drums next week.
I'm talking about, but
Guitar next week. Drum.
you listen next week, and then you'll know, and then you come back to this episode around this point, which is probably minute 40, 50 minutes in. But yeah, I think it's great to see Edge AI Foundation there with the sensor folks, and there's a lot of exciting stuff happening there. I think it's going to be a bigger thing next year, for sure.
Right.
Where was it at this week?
Santa Clara.
Okay.
I just threw up in my mouth. If I go to another conference in that old ass Santa Clara Convention Center, man.
Come on.
Smell it.
Come on, Rob. After lecturing us on how great it was to go to Best Buy and all those old shops to buy old stuff, you don't like the Santa Clara Convention Center? I mean, you're like an LLM. You're hallucinating all over the time, please.
He just got spoiled at the Sphere, so...
Yeah.
I agree it's a bit shitty, but it's an icon.
It's a bit shitty is right. Next to Levi Stadium.
I love to go there. It's an icon of Silicon Valley. It's the history.
Yeah, well, Electronics was an
Vegas.
icon of Silicon Valley too, and it died because of you. You said those things should die because of the internet.
No, I didn't say they should. I said they did.
They did. It's a big difference.
So,
yeah.
Yes, this week I was at HPE's conference.
Oh, you were there? Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I've been on the road for like 3 weeks straight now. Because I was in Vegas last week too.
Yeah.
Pure Storage. So they were at the Venetian Palazzo and did the event there, and then of course you have the air-conditioned sky bridge to take you to the Sphere. And so just like last year, their CEO, Antonio Neri, he did his keynote from the Sphere, which was pretty cool. And then we had a country music event for the entertainment. It was Kenny Chesney in the Sphere.
Really?
It was awesome.
My father-in-law, Rob, did the Eagles there, and he's like, it was one of the most amazing experiences. And I'm like, he's like, you have to get there before they leave. And I'm like, I have no interest in going to Vegas other than for the Sphere,
It's going to be hard to go to other concerts now because the immersive experience of the Sphere is so unparalleled. It's like anything else will just seem lame,
You know what would be really cool? for Apple is if they have a partnership with the Sphere and all the content that's produced for the Sphere, they put it in Vision Pro.
It's
Oh
gonna
my
be-
God.
Well, have you seen
Are they making more spheres all around the world or not?
Huh?
Well, so somebody told me they were, but this only sphere is losing so much money per month
Okay.
that everything else has been put on hold. So
It's too expensive to run.
It costs $2 billion to build, and it's turning out to be way more expensive to operate than they thought it was going to be. And they're not making enough money, and so they're like losing, I don't know, hundreds of thousands or millions per month.
Yeah.
It's something crazy like
Well,
that.
they charge something like $1 million for one day of advertisement on that thing, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's from the outside
Dollars. Yeah.
and the inside.
Yeah, Leonard, on your point about a partnership with Apple, have you seen those pictures with the blue screen of death from Microsoft around the Sphere? So,
Oh, are you serious?
I'm a Mac, and I'm a PC. And
so maybe move the Sphere to macOS first.
there you go. There you
It
go.
might be fakes, but
Maybe that's the Apple campaign actually.
yeah,
Maybe
actually,
it is.
Are you
Maybe it
serious?
is.
That's,
I don't know if it's a fake or not, but yeah, I've seen some, but I haven't fact checked them.
I'm curious.
I've not fact checked them, but
Yeah, you know,
there are pictures
so
on the internet where you see
the next day you're talking to other analysts and I couldn't tell you how many of them said, I don't even like country music, and that guy just blew me away. What a show.
You know,
You almost, when you see Kenny Chesney, you're like, is this a rock show? Is it Leonard Skinner? Is it Jimmy Buffett? There's a lot of ocean beach vibe going on there.
Well, he loves Jimmy Buffett. They were best. They were good buds.
we've said this on the show before. Country music is just soft glam rock from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
He definitely falls close into that yacht rock category.
No. It really is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it because the music is great, but it was country, and that's
That trend, and that trend's on TikTok. You got to follow the yacht rock club on TikTok. It's funny.
yeah. Like Bon Jovi was even doing. They're all pretending they're cowboys and stuff, right? You know, Bon Jovi.
Everybody's crossing over every direction.
What was it? Poison, even. What's his name? Brett Michaels, right? He, you know, that's you, dude. Brett Michaels. Rob Tiffany is Brett Michaels.
Well, we did, Stephanie, before you came here, we did create a new song. We took Jump from Van Halen and made it prompt. Might as well prompt.
Oh my gosh.
See,
We'll have to do an official recording of that, though. You know, the whole song through, I think.
I know how to play it. I know how to play on the keyboard.
So there you go.
Keyboard solo. So
We'll do it.
I did it twice live. It was the scariest thing. It's not easy to play these Van Halen songs in front of people, you know. I did Hot for Teacher once.
Love Hot for Teacher. You know, trivia, when I want to go to, if you go to like a high-end audiophile store, which there are not many of those left anymore, and you want to test out the cleanness of the amplifier and the speakers, you do it by playing the beginning of Hot for Teacher, the drums. Remember how it begins? That is the best way to really test out high-end audio gear.
You know,
so there you go. There's your important factoid of the day. Play the beginning of Hot for Teacher.
But the source is the most important element in an hi-fi system. If your source is not good enough, your amp and your speakers are not going to fix it.
Yeah. So go vinyl, everybody. Go.
Not necessarily. Some of the streaming systems are extremely good nowadays if you have the right DAC. So,
hey Rob, the next time you're in Austin, you need to go to stay at the Otis Hotel. They have a vinyl store at the main level, but they always feature their own vinyl artist in each room, and they have their own, record player. It's pretty cool.
I love
Check that place out.
I saw that Spotify is talking about bringing lossless music to their platform.
Lossless.
Well,
giant files.
Yeah.
Tidal
compression.
and Kubos do that today. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of people will use these other platforms to get that kind of a level of quality And but I know a lot of people keep asking Spotify to do it since the masses are using it.
Well, audio video compression is another area that people aren't talking about much, but it's going to be increasingly important. And it's interesting that you're talking about lossless, because there's a lot of research going into how do you compress but keep it lossless, right? So yeah.
Right.
The guy
want to do.
Yeah, I had one of the pioneers on my my podcast, and she's friggin' hilarious, but it's amazing the science that goes into it. And a lot of it has something to do with quantization and, model compression, right? And the techniques are, she argued that, no, not really. It's like, really? And she goes, yeah, kind of.
Model compression. Is that like using
WinZip? Like all the different techniques for compressing stuff.
But compression is not synonymous to losing. I mean, WinZip is compression, but you don't lose anything. Now, P3 is a loss full or kind of lossy things to compress. So, but no, the point is that compressing doesn't mean losing quality. Now, if you compress very, very strongly with techniques like MP3s, yes, you lose quality.
A lot of stuff.
It's not necessarily synonymous.
Lossless compression. It's kind of like Pied Piper.
Absolutely.
By the way, the one of the origin of compression, at least in our industry, was because the network boundaries was reduced. But you didn't want to lose the information. You were compressing because the pipe was small, but you wanted to make sure that on the other side you could decompress and get exactly the same thing.
Yeah. It's like if you talk to our AI friends, though, if you said model compression, they would think you're using WinZip on an LLM.
Should work.
Too funny. WinZip.
But actually, can you use unzip for sending data over IoT? So I was talking about about serialization, data serialization on IoT devices. Mm-hmm. No, and a guy who was working on cloud services, he asked me, why don't we use unzip? So we unzip the JSON file and we send it. No, this is better than
you could do
else.
it.
Well, it depends on the latency, but it is. I mean, there's been actually a regression in the IoT protocols because Rob, you know that very well. In the early days of protocols, it was super optimized. You were using every single bit in the message to carry information. Then some idiots invented XML and JSON, which is the most verbose and consumption method you can have. Because basically
it's so true, dude.
Not to mention the blanks. How many blanks
Absolutely,
do you have? JSON is
I heard that Dimitri's going to go on a road trip tour around the country. He's going to get like a old Volkswagen bus, and it's going to say like "death to all those XML JSON people," and he's just going to go around with a loudspeaker like "Stop the madness!" with your verbose XML and SOAP and JSON.
That's a good idea, but it's not going to be a Volkswagen bus. Maybe a Porsche Macan or a Lamborghini Urus.
Okay.
I love that. That is so funny.
You're right. I forgot. You're a man of the people. So yeah, definitely a Lamborghini. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to do a GoFundMe for that. Good luck. I know.
Hey, so before we wrap up, Stephanie, we haven't seen you in so long. How are you? How's everything going?
I'm good. I was gone for about a week. Well, a little bit more than a week. I was in Hawaii, so it's been a busy summer with kids camps and vacations, and all the nooks and crannies of doing some projects for companies and trying to get some work done.
Yeah,
it's been good.
You want to admit that on the show?
I know, right? Well, I know, and like I'm about to leave to go to my son's track camp. He's got a track camp at A&M, so I'm like, it's just nonstop. I'm like working on the road and doing my best to take care of everything. But yeah, it's been busy summer.
Did you see any velociraptors or anything when you were in Hawaii? I saw that you went to that place they have like on the north side of the island.
Oh, where they fit. What's funny is their claim to fame is that they filmed Jurassic Park there, but the reality is it's only 90 seconds in the movie that was actually from there.
Kauai? Did you go to Kauai?
No, I was in Oahu.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know the place you're talking about.
It's Kualoa Ranch is where they do film. There's quite a few movies, 51st Dates, Jurassic Park, Jumanji. There's a few others, but yeah, it's a cool place right there.
I would think that a cool tour would be to have a lot of suckers who don't know any better. They come to Hawaii, to Oahu, and they go, "You're going to search for the hatch from the TV show Lost.
Lost.
We're going to find the hatch."
They have. I think they had this. We drove by that. Yeah.
And press the button, press the numbers, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they did some filming of Lost there as well.
You're going to pay us to be allowed to go in there and have to press the button.
And that's where Moana was inspired, was that mountain range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
we
very
were
nice.
just.
I know that's a cliche, but
it was freaking amazing. So now it's like back to reality. Boo.
back to life, back to reality.
Yeah.
Hey guys, yeah, and good to see you guys. Both you, Mark, Stephanie, you, and
See you next week.
Mark. Yeah, we'll see you next week for the big announcement. Jesus.
Yes.
Ooh, now I'm gonna have to jump on just for that.
Yeah, I know.
Gotta tune in.
You need to bring the drum. Not the
We are serious news people, and so we know that we don't tell you what the big story is. We're gonna just do the teaser.
Rob, don't you have some bongos?
I have bongos.
Yeah, okay. So somebody needs to do a drum roll. That's
that's true. Maybe I always think of, when I think of bongos, I think of like Matthew McConaughey naked, stoned in his house in Austin.
That's
And
the first thing I think.
The police come in and he's like playing bongos naked, stoned.
Yeah. That was a classic Matthew McConaughey story. That's all I think of when I hear about bongos.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Oh my God. That's so good.
Right. Yeah, okay. Mark, do your job.
All right. I think Stephanie should take us out.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, it's been so long. I don't even know where I'm at.
No, you
where
know
I
what to
am.
say,
What
dude.
I'm supposed to be doing. So check us out on iotcoffeetalk.com. You can check out, how many episodes do we have now, Leonard? It's like
167. 7.
Wow.
This will be 7.
And now, and you know what? We want you to be a guest. We want you to also make a donation. Help us out at elevateourkids.org. That helps us. We've got a lot of planning to do on that, by the way.
Yeah.
But we've got some funds banked away that we need to really support some schools that are in need of some laptops for K through 12 education. And that's the goal of that nonprofit. So check us out at elevateourkids.org. And until next week, we got big news. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
See you out. Signing off.